All right, let's dive right into a question that gets to the very core of how power works in this country, especially when it comes to the economy and the presidency. So here's the big one. Can a president just fire a governor of the Federal Reserve? I mean, it's a huge question, right? It really affects the independence of our central bank. And guess what? This isn't just a what if anymore, because the Supreme Court has officially stepped into the ring. So we're going to start right at the top with the latest, most dramatic twist in this whole story: a sudden stop, ordered by the highest court in the nation.
So what just happened? Well, the Supreme Court has basically jumped in and temporarily blocked the potential removal of Federal Reserve Governor Lisa Cook. They've essentially hit the big pause button, which means for now, she's not going anywhere.
So what did the court actually do? They issued something called a stay. Now, in plain English, a stay is just a court order that puts a temporary stop to something. In this case, it stops any action to remove Governor Cook until the court gets a chance to look at the whole case, top to bottom.
Now, this decision is a really big deal, and for good reason. It's not just what the court decided, but how they did it. And that brings us to something called the shadow docket. You know, this was a huge surprise, a really rare loss for the administration in front of the Supreme Court. They've actually been pretty successful with these kinds of emergency requests lately, which makes this particular decision stand out even more. And when we say rare, we mean it. Just look at the numbers. Before this, the administration had come out on top in 19 out of 21 similar emergency requests. So statistically speaking, this was, well, it was a pretty shocking outcome. So what on earth is this shadow docket we keep talking about? Well, it's basically the nickname for these super fast-tracked emergency decisions that the Supreme Court makes. These cases get decided really quickly on a tight schedule and usually without the full public arguments that we're all used to seeing. It's a really powerful tool for things that are considered urgent. And all of this leads us to the heart of the matter, the real legal fight here, the Fed's special status. Why is the central bank treated so differently from other government agencies? I mean, why treat this case differently from all those other ones the administration won? Well, the answer is all tangled up in the very unique history and structure of the Federal Reserve itself. And the real key might be right here. In a related case, the court itself kind of hinted at a special exception for the Fed, describing it as a, quote, quasi-private organization that had a long tradition. That little phrase, quasi-private, is everything. It suggests the Fed isn't just another government office.
So let's break it down. On one side, you have your typical government agency. It's subject to direct control from the president. But on the other side, you have the Federal Reserve, which, it's argued, has this special independent status that's designed to protect it from political winds. And that, in a nutshell, is the entire fight.
Okay, so the immediate drama is on hold, but this battle is far from over. So what's next? Well, let's take a look at the road ahead, because it now stretches all the way into 2026. All right, here's the roadmap. Right now, today, the stay is in place. Governor Cook stays in her job. The next big date to circle on your calendar is January 2026. That's when the Supreme Court will hear the full, detailed arguments. After that, we could get a final ruling in the summer of 2026, which might finally settle this question of presidential power over the Fed. And here's a really fascinating little detail that just shows you how unique these two institutions are. Even if the government shuts down, this case keeps on moving. Why? Because both the Supreme Court and the Federal Reserve are self-funded. They don't rely on Congress for their operating budgets each year, so they just keep going, no matter what's happening in Washington. So, after all that, where are we? Well, we're kind of in a holding pattern, with one of the biggest questions about how our economy has run just hanging in the air. Let's take a quick look at the bigger picture. At the end of the day, this temporary stay doesn't actually answer the fundamental question. It just kicks the can down the road. That core issue, whether a president has the authority to fire a Federal Reserve governor, is still completely up in the air. And that leaves us with this final, massive question to think about. This whole case isn't just about one person or one job. It's about a basic principle. Where exactly do you draw the line between the president's need to oversee things and the institutional independence that's supposed to keep our economy stable? That is the billion-dollar question the Supreme Court is going to have to answer.